my name's Andrew Mulligan. I'm from Verback Animal Health. We're here to talk today about animal health products in animals that are grazing on pastures and new pastures especially, different sorts of pastures as well, such as herbs or to a grass variety of pasture. The importance of a vaccination prior to going on to a new pasture or a new feed, whether it be grain feeding or back to a nice lush pasture from a dry pasture or so on, would be for the pulpy kidney side of things. Generally, pulpy kidney gives you a 12-month protection period with a vaccine, but unfortunately with change of feeds it just gives it more challenge when the feed's changed. So the pulpy kidney side of things is really important, and in that changing that rumen, whenever the rumen changes, that's when pulpy kidney can get away and kill the animal, or can make the animal very sick even if it doesn't kill it. That's when we would add something like a B12 to that vaccine to give the rumen a bit more of a help to change over quickly, and I would probably go a vaccine 2 to 3 weeks prior to introducing a new feed. With herbs and brassicas, we would generally be wanting to introduce something like multimin into the diet, as herbs and brassicas are very high in sulphur, and sulphur can actually reduce the trace element levels inside the animal, such as manganese especially, can drop that out of the bank. So if we just top up with multimin prior to feeding on herbs and brassicas, that can help the animal greatly increase its production. It's not generally always possible to be able to inject things like multimin or vaccines or do any drenching 2 to 3 months prior. I would prefer if they were at least done 2 weeks prior than going on feed. I mean, we know it's not always possible, so just giving them on the day of feed is going to give you some benefit, but really 2 weeks prior to going on to anything would be helpful. Drenching animals going on to pasture is quite a good idea. If we're looking for weight gain, obviously, from that pasture, we want to keep those parasites out as long as possible. So the most persistent drench we can, with the highest potency to take out the worms when they first go in and keep the worms out for longer, is going to let you achieve those growth weights of in excess of 1.5 to 2 kilos a day. Otherwise, you're feeding a lot of worms and potentially taking a lot of energy out of that animal, which can also go bearing on immunity and things like that. So disease could creep in because they're trying to fight a worm burden. So drenching onto a very clean paddock is quite a good idea, but it can actually be fraught with danger as well, because any worm that survived that treatment on going on could potentially be a resistant worm of later on. That is the only worm that's coming into the system as a resistant worm that survived that drench. So yes, drenching and having a totally clean animal onto a very clean pasture can be very beneficial to weight gains, but it also can be potentially damaging as far as resistance goes. So you've got to really balance the two. If we can have a clean pasture and they're grazing and those animals leave, and then we go back and farm that country and potentially not have any worms on for the next round, it's the danger of the second, third and fourth grazing after those animals is potentially can be the problem.